Hello and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Val.
Tracy, I'm proud of you. You got your name in there this time.
This time. Last time was bad, but this time I got it. I've been practicing.
Val, you look comfy. That's what I'm going to say today. You look comfy today.
I am comfy. I am in LA. I'm out here for the Anime Expo. And I woke up a couple of hours ago and I've just been chilling here in my bed. Half of the team is already at the expo. They've been there since 6:30 this morning. I go in a couple of hours. You are going to hear my phone throughout this episode because we have a Slack going and trying to see everything that I have to know when I get on site, because there's going to be 170,000 people there.
That's insane.
Today. It's like one of the biggest expos that we do.
Is it a convention hall and hotels, or is that just the convention hall?
The convention hall is huge. It is gigantic. Our team is split up. Luckily, with that many people being in the building, most of the things that I'm kind of over are outside. But also it's about 90 something degrees here. So it's a little inside, outside, upside down a little bit. But I've got a great view. You won't be able to see but there's my pool. Wow. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, that's a great view.
But I'm just I'm about a 20-minute walk from the convention center. And so I've been walking there every day. Cool. I got to see the Colby Bryant, I did a little mural walk the other day. Mm-hmm. I went to school not far from here at USC, but I never spent a lot of time walking in downtown LA. And so I've been exploring that a little bit, and USC has changed since I've gone there. It's super fancy outside now.
It is. And beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, so just very different, but this airs on the 4th of July, so happy 4th of July, but I will be here through the 5th, so this is a 7-day work convention for us. It took us 3 days just to set up all of the tech, and then of course we'll take it all down in 1 day. It's big. This is it's really cool. I've been here since Tuesday, and I haven't even been on the show floor yet.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm hoping to do that. Yeah, I'm hoping to do that tomorrow. And I'm hoping to find something really cool. Anime is something I need to explore more of, and I know it's such a huge fandom. But I'm hoping to find something really unique out here, from a vendor that I can bring home. I was going to go to a Dodgers game yesterday, but I ended up getting moved to the night shift instead of the morning shift. So I don't get to go to a Dodgers game this time around. I did visit the historic Burberry building. Or Bradbury building. Sorry, it's early for me. Bradbury building, where they shot Blade Runner. We were talking about Blade Runner last week, so I thought I'd bring that up. That was really cool to be in there where they shot that. So
that's cool.
The Dodgers won last night against my Padres, so I was. It was 5-1. It was not a close game. So. But
I have to tell you guys about the strangest thing out of all. I thought really I'd see some strange things at the Anime LA convention, right? Because we're in LA, it's anime, just all walks of life, which is really cool. Sure. But the strangest thing I've ever seen as an event person is, so I'm in charge of the West main gate, which is one of the main gates, and the West exits. And last night, the West exits, lead to kind of the sports area. It leads to the cryptocurrency arena and like all of that stuff. And there's like after parties going on over there. And all of the street hot dog vendors, there are hundreds of them. And they all just have these carts that they're pushing. And I'm going to post a picture, but there's a hall, like my whole west exit is just this like hallway, like outside. And they basically just made this hall of hot dogs going from my exit point to the street, which looks cool, smells amazing because I missed lunch yesterday. So I hadn't eaten lunch or dinner by about 9:30 last night when this all happened. But the fire safety and like the owner, you know, like security is like this, you can't be right here. So they would close one exit until the hot dog vendors would leave. They would go to my other exit and go there. We'd have to close that one. Then they'd come back around. It was literally this hot dog Frogger, I feel like, was happening last night. And I just had to stand back because it's not up to me. And so I'm just watching this happen. And if they would have had a tap, because I just had my phone with me, so I could tap and buy a hot dog, I totally would have bought a hot dog and watched this. But I'm going to share the Hall of Hot Dogs before and after.
The Hall of Hot Dogs and Hot Dog Froggers. Those are my new favorite things.
I mean, that is a pretty strange thing, but I'll be honest, I stayed home from Los Angeles yesterday, and I saw Stranger Things. Because the last 2 episodes came out yesterday, so I watched those.
There you go.
Night.
I watched those, and I smoked a turkey loin, which was fantastic.
I didn't know how you were going to end that sentence. I was about to just be like, "You what? How was your turkey? Sounds delicious.
Really good. I'm loving that Traeger smoker. Holy cow! Those
are nice. I'd like to get one someday, but we'll work on it.
Good investment.
Your dreams come later, Jake. Your dreams come later. Just look at me.
And we have to mention, even though it'll be past it by the time that this episode airs, but it's Val's 3-year anniversary with Dave.
It's our 3-year first date anniversary.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary. Had hair in one of those pictures that you posted.
I know, it's so weird.
And it is, and I knew that at some point he did, but
he literally only had that hair. And this is a kind of a funny story. So that picture was taken the weekend he realized that he was in love with me. And 2 to 3 weeks before that, he went to a tattoo convention, and I told him that I wasn't ready to be serious with anyone because I realized that I was having feelings for him, and I was scared out of my mind. And he went to this tattoo convention, and the whole time he didn't shave. He didn't cut his hair, like he didn't shave his head or anything. He grew his hair out, and all of his friends were like freaking out because he hadn't had hair forever. And then we both decided, all right, so we both really like each other. I'm a little scared. My therapist told me, like, I've been your relationship therapist now for 9 months. You need to like try something. Like, if it doesn't work out, fine. But like, you're dating a couple people, pick one that you think that you like the most. Like I wrote my lists down and everything. And then just make a decision. If it goes up in flames, whatever, but you've at least tried. So we both kind of decided we were going to come out to California for Thanksgiving. He was going to San Diego to see his mom and sister, and I was coming out here to see Mike, who was Mike number 1. I went to film school with. He's basically my brother. It was my first Thanksgiving without Sammy. She was going to her dad's house, you know, divorce, all that. It was just really hard. So he's like, we'll drive out together. And we're like, if we don't kill each other or hate each other by the end of this road trip, then that's a good sign that we should keep going. Right. So we drive out, and I want to say that something that I'm really good at is I'm a really good road trip partner.
I could totally see that.
I'm not going to drive you crazy. I'm going to help you. I'm going to make sure, like I know when to be quiet and when to not be quiet. I know it doesn't seem like that here, but in a car, I'm a good road trip buddy. So we had a good road trip. He dropped me off at Mike's house, and something that you should all know listening about my friend Mike is that he's gay. And that's important because as Dave dropped me off there to drive to his mom's house, he was really jealous. Like, why am I dropping this person that I care about off at this man's house?
This other guy's house.
And he's fully well knowing that he dropped me off with him and his husband. Right? And then he's like, oh crap. He's like, oh crap, I love this girl. Like that's like was his moment.
Oh, sweet.
And then we both had Thanksgiving with our families, and then he came and spent time with me and Mike and Travis, and then drove me out to meet his mom for the first time.
No pressure.
And then after that, we decided to try and be exclusive. And then,
that's great.
Yeah. So, but it all happened with one 5-hour date. Today.
Happy anniversary.
Thanks.
You two are great.
Well, I really wanted to use Gay Mike. That's not what we're going to call him, but Mike being gay as a transition
he won't
to segue into Independence Day, because there's definitely some questions there that we've got to talk about, or something. But before we get into that movie, we need to talk about July 21st.
Yes.
We need to make sure that we do that at the beginning and also at the end. But July 21st, we are hosting all of you to come and watch Sharknado at Broovies in downtown Salt Lake City. It's going to be awesome. $15 at the door. I think we've got 150 seats available. And once we're sold out, we're sold out. And we're hoping to hit that point where we don't want to turn any of you away, but we would love to have to turn some of you away because we are full. So that is what we're looking at Sharknado. There's going to be a raffle. Tracy, these prizes are insane we have for this raffle. I mean, just incredible.
We've got $600 from Dave Man Tattoos, Val's Dave. $600. That's incredible. We are waiting on, but we should have in time, a signed football from the University of Utah football coach, Kyle Whittingham. Thomas Estrada, the Disney animator, is going to send over an original piece of art that we're going to be able to raffle off. We've got movie memorabilia from Val. We've got all sorts of stuff. So it's going to be a fun night.
Yeah.
All goes to
Fan X is even pitching in some autographed pictures.
Thank you. Yes. Ian Ziering and Tara Reid autographed photos and 2 Thursday passes from Fan X. So, yeah.
So we want to thank everyone, first of all, that's helped with the prizes and have donated some things for us there. That's incredible. We appreciate your generosity. But you guys don't want to miss this. It's going to be a lot of fun. It is a bad movie for a great cause. We are raising all of the money that we raise at the door, all of the money for raffle tickets, all of it is going to the American Cancer Society. So
100%.
Yep, 100%. We're not getting anything out of this except some great company and a great time. So,
and a great movie. Well,
to be determined. To be determined.
It'll be a great experience.
It will be a great experience. Yes.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. So I'm excited to see everybody there. I'm excited to see the turnout and to watch this movie finally. I've started it a couple of times on the TV by myself. I'm hoping in this kind of environment it'll be much better.
Can't do it alone. You gotta do it
although Tracy has pointed out that Sharknado 1 isn't even the good one. We have to wait until like Sharknado 4 or something before they get really good.
They're all good. It's just they continue to climb in greatness.
Yeah. I'm not buying that, man. You're selling it hard, but I'm just not buying.
It's a lot like Independence Day, though. You just have to kind of shut off your brain and just enjoy the ride.
Oh boy, I think that is a great way to sum up Independence Day right now. Because I'll be honest, I remember when this movie came out.
Yeah,
and it was a big deal. I mean, it was a Memorial Day release. It was a huge hit that summer. This was the big summer blockbuster the year that it came out.
Yep.
This was right in the middle of Will Smith's big summer blockbuster
Mhm.
thing. You know, he had this, he had Men in Black, Wild Wild West. Okay. I mean,
Eh,
he had this and
Wild
he had
Wild
Men in
West
Black.
was fun.
It was fun. And I think it was, I don't think it did as well as like Independence Day and Men in Black at the box office.
no,
But-
it didn't.
But yeah, this was Will Smith in his action hero heyday, where he was really hitting it with the big movies that were the big hits. And it is a movie that does not hold up well almost 30 years later.
Listen.
I think in the theater experiencing this, like I remember coming out and being like, this is just so intense and so incredible. And just, I was a teenager. So
Yeah.
I think that probably helped with that. But watching it again last night, I was like, this is not the movie that I remember it being. And I think it's just because there's so much that has come after it, but it was still pretty good. I mean, it was still fun. I don't know. I feel like I've been really negative so far. And
I do think the presidential moments were pretty cool still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some great one-liners though.
Oh, it
There's-
is like probably number
One of-
5 on the list of action movie one-liners. Like
it's got to be up there. Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to Earth, you know.
Yes. Gotta
Hey,
drag your
boys.
dead A through the desert with your dreadlocks, and yeah.
I mean, I do think it also kind of shows like that you have the human like moments of, okay, a whole bunch of people drive to the desert, like they just stop everything they're doing, pick up and go to Area 51. That happened like in real life. And then you have the aliens coming to Earth, and you have all the people on top of the buildings like welcome, and then they get killed. Like I feel like these things would happen. Like I was thinking that, yes, far-fetched from. So there are like moments that are like so ridiculous, and then there are moments where you're like, I mean,
yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Where would you be? Would you drive to the desert? Would you be on the top of a building? Would you be hiding in your basement? Like, what would you do if you knew aliens were here and or coming?
I would probably go out and see it. I don't know if I'd drive to like Area 51, but if I could like see it from my house or not too far, then I probably would do that. But that's a good question, because it would be terrifying and exciting.
I'd be glued to the internet and the TV trying to get any news and anything, trying to find out everything you could, all the information. I feel like I would probably react very similarly to everything that happened in 2020, right? When we started hearing about it and things started closing down, and like when it really started to become real that way, I feel like I spent a lot of time refreshing news sites, trying to see what the latest was, the numbers, all of that kind of stuff. And I think it would be similar in this kind of a thing, because this is something that would be such a global impact.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine the TikToks that would get out of this?
I can't imagine the TikToks that I saw this morning.
Yeah. TikTok would be crazy.
I literally am in the TikTok mecca right now.
That's true.
Like, just trying to get back and forth to do my job is literally everyone like holding their things, making their TikToks, doing their live Twitches. Like, I'm in the back of a lot of people's videos.
I've been thinking about that kind of thing a lot, because when you scroll through TikTok and you see people doing these TikToks at things like conventions or at theme parks, or going to YouTube, and there's like the vloggers at all of the Disney parks, and I just think it's probably really annoying to go to some of these places right now, because, and this is not what you were saying, Val, and I know that. I don't want to say that you were saying people that you were going to interact with later today are annoying, but like, I feel like it would just be annoying to be like on a ride and you have somebody talking through the ride, or, I don't know.
live streaming.
Yeah.
I mean,
narrating.
I'm going to be putting my camera on my gimbal later tomorrow
Yeah.
so that I can
That's
get
your
a
job.
video of like entering into the main hall and going and see, because they've got the whole thing is carpeted in this blue car, and that just makes me so happy. But like, it's cool. So yeah, I mean, I just feel like what translates there is not too far away from what we're already doing. So there are things I feel like they translate, but then there are these moments of like the CGI at the time we thought was like so amazing. And now I'm watching it and I'm like thinking a TikTok video is probably better than like they could probably recreate this.
Yeah. But at the time,
it
was
insane.
It was
amazing.
It was
it was
like so cool.
And I remember the first time seeing it, how intense it was, because they have the aliens come, you know, on July 2nd, and they've got this buildup of what's going to happen. They just park over these cities,
right?
And what's going to happen. And this time, I just felt like, and I know that part of it you have to take into account is, you know, what's going to happen now. You know, they're going to destroy the cities, but spoilers. But
they spoiled that in the poster.
I know, like. But I felt like it was this attempt to really build up. You don't really see the aliens for most of the movie. They don't really have a lot of interactions with live aliens and things like that. And so I felt like it was the similar kind of buildup that you get in Jaws, or it was an attempt at that same kind of buildup, but it just doesn't quite land the same. I mean, because even when I watch Jaws now, I know what's going to happen. I know that Bruce is not the scariest looking shark out there. I get all of that, but I still feel that same intensity and the like Steven Spielberg just builds that up so well in Jaws. And in this, I watched it. I was like, I don't think it's an attempt at that same kind of build up, but it doesn't have the same delivery. It doesn't pay off as well for whatever reason. And I don't know that I know enough about filmmaking or storytelling to pinpoint why it doesn't work. I just know that it doesn't work like some of the other masterful ones do.
Yeah. But I mean, I mean, let's talk about for a second. Let's talk about this cast. Like this cast is stacked. So we've got Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum, Bill Pullman, Vivica A. Fox, Randy Quaid, Judd Hirsch, Mary McDonnell, Robert Loggia, Harvey Feinstein, and I love Harvey Fierstein's voice. He's just right. I can't even do it, but Harvey Feinstein, Brett Spinner, Adam Baldwin. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, and in 1997, to have Will Smith and Vivica A. Fox basically is the main couple of this movie for an Independence Day movie that's opening up on the, 4th of July is kind of a big deal, which is really cool. And I like Will Smith as an actor. I do think sometimes he fits in this area that he kind of puts himself, like he chose some very specific parts to make money, and then it enabled him to choose other parts that, were a little bit more of a stretch, but he's fun. He's got this just really fun,
charismatic.
Yeah. And I know there's been some drama lately with him, but I'm going to stand by, like, if you really want to know more about him, listen to his book that just came out. And he really talks about like why he made these choices and how big of a deal like these movies were for him, which was really cool. But I mean, the cast was so cool in this movie at the time, because it was just like an oddball cast. Like if you look at them, it's not a cast that you would usually say, we are going to put together this blockbuster cast for this movie. It is all the oddballs. And I love it because I love the oddballs, right?
This is one of my favorite Jeff Goldblum roles.
Yeah, and Jeff's always been an oddball.
But in
he
this
wasn't one of those people that you thought of like, hey, we need somebody to carry a movie. He's always was the sidekick, and they really made him more of a main character in this movie, which was so cool. And I just really love the way that him and Judd Hirsch, they're back and forth, and the way that they kind of move together, talk together is so believable in this movie, even in the unbelievable parts, right?
Yeah.
like you don't just drive your dad up to the White House and then like it doesn't matter. Like even more so if aliens were being invaded, like you're not going to get in.
No.
You know,
Well, but
It
if
was
you
a
have one of those
simpler-
cool little satellite dish things that you can stick on your car to triangulate the signal, and then you
it
can
was a
call your
simpler
ex-wife.
time.
right. It just, yeah. So I mean, there's some very like things that are such a stretch, but it's so much fun because the people that you have doing the stretching
having
is
so
what
much
really makes it. I am not a huge fan of Randy Quaid as an actor. Sometimes he really annoys me, and sometimes I'm like, that was the most perfect pick of something. And I think this role for him was that gem. It was kind of like what Jake was talking about last week, that lightning in a bottle moment.
Right.
That I don't think yes, you could put 100 other actors in this role, but there's something about him doing it that makes it beyond the character that we're seeing.
Yeah, I would say this and Christmas Vacation are the only two that I can kind of get behind him. Almost all of his other stuff, it's too much, but it's perfect.
And that makes sense because in this, it's just basically Cousin Eddie as a
it really is.
jet pilot,
and he's wacko in real life, so it seems like this is
I don't know that I'd use the clinical term. We could call it something.
The clinical term. So
he's a little eccentric.
I think the performances from the actors with the script that they're given, I think they do a great job. I mean, because it is it is cheesy. Like this is what summer blockbusters in the 90s really were. They were over the top cheese in a lot of ways, and that's okay. Like I remember having conversations, and this is definitely one of those movies that fits in there. Like you said earlier, Tracy, you just got to turn your brain off and enjoy it. And this is definitely one of those movies because if you turn your brain on at any point, you're like, this was so full of 90s stereotypical progressivism. Like they wanted to include a gay character, but they couldn't just include a guy who was gay. It was like he had to be, I mean, the way Harvey Fierstein plays that character, he's the damsel in distress from like the minute he wakes up in the morning until, and I just feel like, not that there aren't people who aren't like that, because there are, and be that person and be the best you can be. However, it seems like so many of the representation,
it's not nuanced,
of gay characters in the 90s was like that because it was a stereotype. And even Jeff Goldblum's character, he's the stereotypical environmentalist from the 90s. He's riding his bike to work. He's recycling everything. And even that scene where he's drunk and he's throwing everything around. He's like, I don't care. I just want to destroy the planet. I've spent all this time saving it. And for what? They're just going to destroy it. And so I'm just going to break everything and throw it in the garbage. Like, it was such a weird reaction and there was just a lot of that in there where it's like, okay, this is definitely a product of its time. However, despite all that, I do love the characters and I do love the acting and the performances that we get. I think Bill Pullman as the president, his speech where he gives that speech is fantastic. I do love Will Smith. I agree. He just oozes charisma in everything that he's in. He's an incredible actor and an incredible performer. And you can tell that he is one of these people. There are just people in this world that when they show up, people want to be around them. And I think Will Smith is one of those people.
There were two scenes that really stood out to me, and one of which is I was thinking, Top Gun Maverick, because we have the dogfight with the jet flying through the canyons and the alien ship chasing him. And he like drops the parachute on the alien spacecraft, and then he's like, "Hope you have an airbag," and then he just ejects. It's like, so silly, but it killed me. But there was one scene, and kind of going on what you were saying, Jake, about trying to be 90s progressive. They're showing shots from all over the world of the people celebrating that the aliens have been killed and the ships have crashed. and they're showing, New York, and they're showing London, but then they cut to the African bush, and these people come out in the tribal wear, and I'm like, oh, that one just didn't quite sit.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are moments like that. Like when they send the telegraph to all the different military bases, and you've got the Brits there, and they're like, "Oh, the Americans, they're getting ready to launch a counteroffensive. Oh, it's about time." Like everybody's just waiting on America's lead to take these aliens on. Like nobody else is thinking of anything else. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how we look at ourselves, so it makes sense, really.
Did you guys ever see the sequel? I didn't.
I haven't seen the sequel, and that's shameful of me to say, but I haven't seen it.
There's a sequel?
Yeah, Independence Day Resurgence.
Oh, with Thor.
Is Hemsworth in that one?
I don't know. Thought somebody. Let me see.
Hold on. Goldblum, Pullman, Liam Hemsworth.
Liam. I knew one of the Thors was in there. He's the Thor that never makes it.
He's the lesser Hemsworth.
I mean, he's fine. I think that I did see it, but obviously I didn't remember seeing it. And so, yeah, you're fine not seeing it. For me, it's like, I think of like Independence Day, Signs, War of the World, like those three movies that came out. Like this Independence Day came out the year before I graduated high school, I think. 1996.
Yeah.
And then Signs came out in 2002. War of the Worlds came out in 2005, and they all had very similar types of how they revealed their aliens. They're obviously all three different temperaments of film. But it's that alien reveal that I kind of get excited about alien adventure movies, right? Because I'm not, Signs is more of a suspense, but it's still like you don't see the alien until very specific points. Like it's that intense, like, what is it going to be? What is it going to look like? And with Independence Day, I feel like they played that like, okay, the aliens are coming, but we're not ever really going to show you the alien. And then we do, but then they just kind of gloss over it. It's more about how we are reacting to the aliens. And then when you get into War of the Worlds, it's all about how we're reacting to the aliens, and then all about what they're doing to us. So it's this, it's just, I like to kind of look at, how those movies, because they were all these huge blockbusters, all three of those in the same genre, but like with the same kind of reveal, the same kind of spaceship hovering over, like it's gonna, we're all gonna die kind of thing, but so different in so many ways. I still think though, out of the three, and I really like Independence Day as an action film, less so as this like alien kind of thing. I still think Signs is a very well-made movie, and I know not a lot of people agree with me on that. I know, Tracy, you are not a fan, but there's so many things, not as a story, but as the way that movie makes you feel as an audience member, as the person that's going along on this journey with the characters. I enjoy it that way. With Independence Day, I enjoy just that brain candy of what's going to happen now.
It's like, the fun of, it's
so
the
it's just
movie.
that fun ride that you want to get on every once in a while. It's not the one that you're always like gearing towards, but every once in a while you're like, oh yeah, I remember that ride. Let's do that one. It's been like 5 or 10 years. Let's ride that ride again.
Yeah, I put it in that category for sure. I think of it and group it together with movies like Armageddon that came out a couple of years later, where like it is so over the top cheesy and but it is so much fun too. Like just the whole idea behind, oh, there's this asteroid coming, it's going to collide with Earth. We're going to send up this drill crew and they'll take care of it for us. Like just the whole premise. is ridiculous, but at the same time, it's still fun and it's still enjoyable to watch.
Riding the nuclear warhead.
Yeah.
I think this one works in a lot of ways too, because they took a sci-fi action movie and they mirrored it with the natural disaster movie, which was making a resurgence back in the 90s. The Poseidon Adventure, the Towering Inferno. It took all these kind of 70s movies, these end of the, these destruction movies, and then married it with the sci-fi film, which is, I think, really works well.
Well, what's interesting, you mentioned that you look at, so the director is Roland Emmerich, who directed this, and that's kind of his MO. Like that is where he lives, because he also directed The Day After Tomorrow,
which I love.
He did the 90s Godzilla movie, which
I love.
I mean,
I love it.
I
it's
like
one
the
of
new
the best
Godzilla, probably a little bit.
Of the best movie soundtracks, also.
Yeah,
not scores, but soundtracks.
Soundtrack, okay.
But so I mean, this is kind of where he lives as far as that goes. These kind of big epic disaster type movies, whether it's natural or alien invasion or whatever the case might be.
Right.
So he gets the storytelling, and you can tell that he knows what he's doing in this movie. Like there are parts that don't totally work as well as I think they were intended, but by and large, it's still an enjoyable movie, and you're still edge of your seat on it, and I think that's good. So he also directed The Patriot, which is not one of those movies, but another good one for the 4th of July. If you'd like to watch that one.
About aliens and war.
Yeah, just not outer space aliens, more like.
Speaking of outer space aliens, I'm excited to see Nope. I am very excited to see that. I really like Jordan Peele.
Yeah, that.
It looks interesting.
Us was hit or miss for me. There was so much going on, and I don't feel it was as clear as Get Out, but Nope looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I do want to say, if you have not, because I think it opens this week, if it didn't already open, is Rise on Disney Plus, based on a true story. So good. I believe I wrote a review on that. I'll try and get it up on our social media page, but I gave that movie a solid B. If you need something to watch with the family this week. And then the new Baymax series, I watched the first 3 episodes, so we'll Baymax. Talk a little bit about, I'll post some things about that, but I'll probably have some things for you to give away for the Baymax.
That'd be fun.
But I also have some black phone stuff for you to give away. I did bring my black phone mask out here, and it's
how's that going?
A big hit.
I bet.
With Rise, I think if you watch Hustle and you wanted to watch that with your family, but you don't want to watch Hustle with your family, watch Rise.
I watched.
It's the same type of. It's not the same story, obviously, and Rise is based on Jonas Antetokounmpo.
The Greek freak.
Yeah, the Greek freak in his family, and it's very interesting, and so, but it's kind of in that same vein as what Hustle was.
Yeah, I
both
watched
great movies
yesterday. I didn't get to finish, but I liked it.
Yeah, I really liked Hustle a lot.
And
one of Adam Sandler's best roles, I think, ever.
The cruise missile.
Yeah, he's on the Jazz.
Missile got cut yesterday. Nope,
he got cut.
He got cut. Yep.
Oh. Well, the Jazz are overhauling their team. If you guys haven't heard,
they are.
Yeah, somebody came up like a rando yesterday. Came up to me. Oh, you're from Salt Lake City. Like, what do you think about what happened with the Jazz? And I was like, what happened? So I guess one of the main guys got traded.
Yeah, they traded Rudy Gobert for like 4 existing players. 5 existing players and 4 more.
He's gonna feel good. Like one of him is worth 5 other people,
plus 4,
9 other people when you count the draft picks too.
Yeah.
So the Jazz got a lot out of it. We'll see what happens. But they're obviously overhauling their team quite a bit. So and they changed their uniform.
If you're into basketball, there's some basketball movies out for you to watch.
There you go.
I want to talk about like this not Armageddon, sorry you said that, but in Independence Day, like there's some kind of cigar like
That was a
friends
big thing in the
happening in this
90s.
movie. I
That
love that
was
Harry
a
Connick
huge
Jr.
thing.
was in this. This was his first role before Hope Floats. You know, before he kind of became the lead guy, Harry Connick Jr. I was into his music for a long time before he was in this movie, so I was so happy to see him. But there's this ongoing like cigar moment of the 90s. Like the guys are always like, "Here, you get
That
a
was
cigar. We did
it
something
was the cool
amazing."
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
It
is
was that was his big thing. He didn't have the cigars, but luckily Judd Hirsch had some extras, just his last two that he could give them. But I like it when he gives it. It's the epitome of what we always learned was peer pressure in school. Like he gives them the cigar.
Yeah.
He's like, by the way, this is not optional. Like you will smoke this. I'm like, man, it's not sending a great message to the kids.
You will vomit later. You will regret your
Yeah.
life.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've never smoked one, but the smell.
I love the smell of cigars, like going into the tinder box when I used to love that at the mall. I have smoked a cigar or two in my life, and you really got to know what you're doing, because if not, you're not going to love yourself later.
You're not going to have.
I don't also just say no. That's what I'm going to say. But you know, I'm one of those people that I believe in most things you should try once if it's not going to kill you. But also smoking is gross and bad for you at the same time.
Yes. When I was a kid, now I'm going to go the opposite of Val, which is weird that I would go the opposite of Val on this particular subject a little bit. But when I was a kid, I always thought if I was going to smoke anything, it would be a cigar, not because of this movie, but because Wolverine in the comics was always smoking a cigar. And that was just cool. Like I wanted to be cool like Wolverine. Now, however, I tell myself if I were to ever smoke anything, it would be a pipe like a Hobbit, because that is my dream, is to live the Hobbit life. So
I could see you.
And Tracy just wants to smoke turkeys. So
yeah, well, no, that's it. Now that's my other goal, is to smoke turkeys.
Feel like
I gotta
Tracy, I feel like we're owed some kind of barbecue at your house. Or
come over, because it's really easy. Like I look up the recipe I look up the recipe online, and it's like you just turn it on to the temperature and you put the stuff on the grill, and then you come back and like turn it, and then it's done. And it was not overcooked. It was still really juicy, and it's really good.
Yeah. I love idiot proof cooking like that.
Yes.
Because I'm an idiot, so I need the idiot
same.
So I look up that moment though. We've all had that moment though in our lives where we messed up something that was like super easy, right?
Yeah.
Like made that mistake. I remember when my daughter Sammy made macaroni and cheese for the first time, and she called me and she's like, "It doesn't look right." And I'm like, "Well, did you follow the instructions on the back? Because it's literally 1, 2, 3 instructions." And she never drained the noodles. She put them in the water and she cooked them, and then she added the butter, the milk, and the cheese. And it was a super slurpy mess. And I was like, "So go ahead and try again."
It's half macaroni and cheese soup.
To quote Three Amigos, probably watered down.
Yeah.
But I made this like casserole that was supposed to have chicken in it when I was first married to my first husband, and I did the Jessica Simpson's moment, and we used to have like the chicken in the can that you could just like, but we also had tuna. And I opened the tuna. I don't know how I didn't know that it wasn't tuna. I had no. And I mixed that in, and I cooked it, and I brought it to his family's house, thinking, "Look at me, did a wifely like thing." And everybody's like, "This is interesting." Chicken of the sea, man.
I always think of Brian Regan does a whole thing about instructions on Pop-Tarts. Like,
yes,
people that need the instructions on Pop-Tarts. And I'm like, I know it's really easy to think that's pretty ridiculous, but I know that there have been things like that where I haven't followed the instructions, thinking I knew what I was doing, and it doesn't work out.
Yep.
That's the Pop-Tart moment where it's like, but getting back to the movie, so we can give it a grade here in a minute, but I do also love that because the internet and computers and things like that were becoming more and more prevalent,
Yes.
that when he explains the computer virus thing, he has to like explain, like, we're going to give it a cold. A cold? Yeah, like a computer virus. I'm like, do people not know what a computer virus is?
At
In
that
97 or
time.
96? Probably not so much. But it was just so funny because I'm like, that's duh. Everybody knows what a
Well,
computer virus is, but they have to like explain it.
but when they upload it and the alien gets the message of the grinning skull, and the alien does like a double take, like, what?
Yeah.
Oh,
What's going on? Oh,
Yeah. There
the
were some
computers
great
at the time.
moments.
I love he boots up his Macintosh and it has the old Mac logo, and I'm like,
Yeah, the rainbow apple logo that was
yep.
I think is iconic. I love it. They need to bring it back more. But yeah, just the aliens in this movie, I love them so much because they are supposed to be so intimidating and scary, but they just like when they kill Data or Brent Spiner's character
Uh-huh.
and they're pushing him up against the window and they're talking through him, you can
Mhm.
die, all die. And I'm like,
No, please.
like
I
Mars
can't remember
Attacks.
what I felt when I saw this the first time, but I know what I'm feeling now, and it's just awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a
So,
really good like between Mars Attacks and
yes,
like War of the Worlds. So there's like these moments that you
Uh-huh.
feel like intense and this is a good dramatic moment, and then you have other moments and you're like, am I high right now? I don't remember doing drugs,
yeah,
but I
Somebody
don't
slipped me
understand.
something. I will say though, the autopsy scene is pretty good. Like
Yeah.
when they're
yeah,
dissecting the alien, that actually has some creepy look and
yeah,
feel to it. It kind of reminds me of kind of a Ridley Scott alien
Yeah.
type of feel
Yeah.
and
in
I think
that.
they were
Yeah.
going for that. I think they were
Mhm.
going for that, but I think they spent
But
most
the
of their
rest of
budget
the
on the
alien,
CGI,
yeah.
and then they didn't have a whole lot left on the plastic alien.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be hard to puppeteer, and we couldn't get Jim Henson, so
We're just gonna make them dead. All the ones that we see are just dead or move very little.
the hand. You see the hand move. You see the whip tail thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot in this movie that does make it feel dated that we're talking about and probably picking apart a little bit. But the reality is, I don't mind that. Sometimes when I
No.
watch a movie and it feels dated, it takes me out of the moment or whatever. But this just reminds me of spending summers in the air-conditioned movie theater and
Uh-huh.
watching movies like this. And that's okay. Like this is high on the nostalgia feels for me, even if I can watch it
Yeah.
and be like, yeah, it doesn't hold up that great. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
it's still just a fun movie to watch.
You're
It
absolutely
is.
right. And it's like when I saw Maverick for the first time, I'm like, this is why I like coming to the theater, sitting in the
Yeah.
theater, watching this movie, being entertained. Not everything has to
Yeah.
be a learning moment, or, sometimes you can just entertain us. That's okay. But eating popcorn, having a cold soda, hanging out with your buddies. I mean, that it's like
Yeah.
I remember when I saw Arachnophobia in the theater, and I felt so grown up because it was just me and my friend. We didn't have any of our parents, but that movie freaked me out. Like I was afraid to like get in the bathtub after that because I was afraid
Yeah.
spiders would come crawling
Still
out of there.
afraid to wash my hair in the sink if there's those little holes.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
that same kind of thing. It's that shut off your brain, enjoy the cool, especially in the heat of the summer. You go into the air conditioned theater, it feels so good. You got your
Yep.
soda, you got your friend, you're just having a good time.
Yeah. There are some movies that just when I watch them, it brings me back to that moment. Like even
Yeah.
I can smell the popcorn, I can feel the sticky
Mhm.
floor because all theaters back then had sticky floors.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
And the arcade games out front that have like 3
yes,
arcade games. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because it was the cool hangout place,
Yeah.
obviously.
Were you now where did you guys ever go to the Sandy Starship?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
That was my hang. That was my go-to place until
So
movies 7, Cinemark 7. And then
okay.
that
So I
I'm sure I've been to the Starship. I'm sure I went there at least once, but I lived closer to Valley Fair Mall, so it was those like dollar, the
yeah.
movies that
Yeah.
were turned into the dollar movie, but now is
Uh-huh.
not there. So I went when it was like new, and then I went when it was the dollar. And yeah, from the time that it was open and new to the time that it was the dollar movie theater and they got rid of it, like those floors were never not sticky.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Like I don't think it mattered. Like I don't know that they ever washed them. It's like that pan that's like your favorite pan. That you get to the
It's
right amount
seasoned.
of like seasoned that you just kind of wipe it. I feel like
Well,
that was the floor of that
Yeah.
movie theater.
So I worked at, you mentioned Sandy Movies 7. I worked it was Sandy Movies 9 when I worked there. They had added
Okay.
to the number 8, number
I
9
remember
by the
that,
time I was working there. And I was an usher, and we cleaned those theaters. We mopped the floors. I don't know what it is. They were still always sticky. But when you mentioned Starship, I thought, okay, so then your memory of popcorn is burned smelling popcorn. Because I felt like every time I went in there, the popcorn was burned at Starship theaters. But
I have to say though, and I wish theaters could do this again. It was such a great time, like 80s growing up, but they do like 10 movies for $10.
yeah.
And they would show like the weirdest collection. Like I saw Donnie and Marie going coconuts. I saw the Apple Dumpling Gang. You know, they had like Herbie. I mean, just like, but my mom could drop us off. We could watch a movie for a couple hours. She'd go do a little shopping and come back and pick us up. And it was great.
I remember a couple of summers, I think, when we lived closer to Murray, the Murray Theater, if you remember that old one show house theater that was there, they would run kids movies, and you would buy a ticket at the beginning of the summer, and you could once a week go and watch these kids, and they would give you a little brown plastic or paper bag with popcorn in it and one of those taffy, like Laffy Taffies, but it wasn't Laffy Taffy. It had like the sparkly candy on the top too.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And a little short can of Shasta. And you would go and you'd watch these like kid-friendly movies. And we spent a lot of time doing that because it was cheap. We could go, we'd be in there for a couple of hours. And I just remember at the beginning of every movie that they showed at the Murray Theater, they'd have like, I can't remember if it was the Star Spangled Banner or the Pledge of Allegiance, but like this video clip at the beginning that was from the 50s that they would start every movie that way. And it was just,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That was a great time.
They used to have a movie theater in the mall at
Fashion Place.
Fashion Place, yeah.
They did at Fashion Place?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had one at Fashion Place, and then they had
it was one theater.
where REI is now at Southtown used to be the Cineplex.
Well, I know that was one, but I didn't remember at Fashion Place.
there was a movie in Fashion Place, a movie theater, yeah.
I remember
with the Winchells.
There was a Winchells
Donuts.
Yeah.
They had the Disney store and they had the Warner Brothers store at one time. Back when I was more of a Warner Brothers fan than a Disney fan. I know that's weird to think, but
no, I was there too.
It was a thing. But I don't remember that movie theater there.
It was back when I was like young.
Yeah.
Like 5 years old.
So like Jake wasn't even born yet.
I remember hearing stories about there being a theater there. I don't remember there actually being one.
It was passed down in the
history books.
But I do remember the Warner Brothers store. My grandma worked at the Warner Brothers store when it opened. Like she was looking for something to do, and she started working there.
I worked there. I wonder if your grandma was my boss at some point.
I don't know if she was ever a boss. She might have been, but she. I remember when it opened because like Jeff Hornacek came and John Stockton came like to the grand opening or something, and she got like. So I had a Marvin the Martian hat that was signed by Jeff Hornacek and John Stockton.
That's not too shabby. That's not too bad. I bought my film school graduation gift for myself from the Warner Brothers store. I bought a cell of Speedy Gonzalez.
That's awesome.
I maybe sold that to you. Just kidding.
You might have.
I was really little. I worked there out of high school, so
yeah.
Anyway, probably about the same time.
Yeah.
Well.
So I'm gonna give this movie. I'm gonna start with me because we don't.
That's fine. I was just gonna try to bring it back there, so that's great.
I mean, this movie for me is like technically, like if I was gonna be really critical about it, would be like a C+. But like adding in just the fact that I like it for fun, I'm gonna bring it to a B-.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably be B minus. In terms of just like entertainment, it's a B movie, like the not in terms of like the grade, but just in terms of the quality. It's meant to be this over the top cheesy. I mean, it's drenched in nacho cheese, which sometimes that's exactly what you want. And so, it's like comfort food, and it's just enjoyable. There's some great one-liners. The actors are all having a blast. This is probably the only Roland Emmerich.
Yeah, Roland Emmerich. Yeah.
Roland. I didn't remember if there was a D or not, but this is probably the only film of his that I actually like really enjoy. The other ones don't quite work as well for me. But yeah, I'd probably go B minus on this one. But for a shut off your brain, enjoy on a hot summer day, it hits the spot.
Yeah, I think we're pretty. Yeah, I think we're pretty unanimous on this as far as the grade, because I'm going to also give it a B minus. In order for a movie to be like a B or a B plus, it's got to be a movie that if I'm going to sit down and watch it, I want to sit down and watch every minute of it. And this is one that if I turn it on, I really can just have it in the background and it's fine. And it's just a movie that I don't feel like I have got to sit down and watch every minute of, but there are parts that are going to draw me in. And so that's where I would give it the B minus rating. And it is steeped in nostalgia for me for sure. So
yeah.
So there you go. Independence Day, pretty solid B minus if that's how you want to celebrate your 4th of July. Well, first of all, thank you for starting it with us, because that's pretty awesome. Yeah. We appreciate that. Second of all, don't forget about July 21st, Broovies, downtown Salt Lake City. Bad movie for a great cause. We're going to watch Sharknado together and give away some awesome prizes. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we hope to see you there. Make sure to follow us in all the places. And until July 21st, we won't see you at the movies.
This has been a Stolen Droids Media production.